If you look, if you really look, you'll see that we live in a very beautiful planet. In fact, I estimate that we only know about 25% of what there is to know about the planet. Consider all the marine and aquatic life, from whales to eels to coral reefs. Consider swamps, jungles, deserts, everything from camels to monkeys. And you'll see that all of these aspects of nature are working in a coordinated effort to give us home, to give us Mother Nature, to give us this planet. What's sad about all of this is that it's at risk. Right now, in the 21st century, this beautiful planet of ours, amazing planet of ours, is at risk. And it's up to us as humanity to decide what we're going to do about it. There's a lot of talk nowadays about sustainability, and people from different sectors of society are looking at sustainability from different angles. And there's even talks of the threat of a societal collapse. In other words, the entire collapse of our civilization as we know it, the global village. So there's some environmental economists that came up with some really good research that decided to test this. And they developed a model called HANDY, the Human and Nature Dynamics Model. And HANDY basically puts humans as predators and nature as the prey. And it looks at what will happen if we continue operating at the current levels as predator versus prey, where nature is just used and consumed unendingly. This, for me, was groundbreaking. And when we reflect on what came out of it, we'll see that the question was asked, what happened to some of the greatest civilizations that preceded ours? I mean, if ours can fall, what caused other civilizations to fall? And maybe we can then mitigate that. They looked at ancient Roman Empire, one of the greatest civilizations that we know. They looked at the Mycenaean civilization. They looked at ancient Mesopotamia. They looked at ancient Babylon. In ancient China, they looked at the Zhang and the Zhou dynasties. They looked at the ancient Gupta Empire of India. They came down to Egypt, and they looked at the Hittites and the great civilizations of the Indus Valley. They looked at Great Zimbabwe, Mapungubwe, and many other civilizations, such as those of the Pacific Islands. A great case that many of us know of is Easter Island that fell. And they asked, what caused these groups of people that were miles ahead of their peers to suddenly fall, be wiped up, entire populations just disappearing, just like that? And what was interesting was the finding was that it wasn't volcanoes erupting or war or internal civil unrest or technology or natural disasters or disease, which are the purported reasons. But it was actually that by the time these things came about, those civilizations were so vulnerable because of two primary factors. And the first one is burgeoning and increasing inequality, the stratification of each of those civilization society into elites and commoners, into princes and paupers, into the very rich and powerful and the very poor and fragile. And the second element was overuse, excessive use of nature's resources. In other words, an overburdening of nature's carrying capacity in the context of what their nature was providing them. So when we really think about it, we realize how fascinating it is that some of the greatest civilizations in society fell not necessarily because of earthquakes, because many of the civilizations had gone through earthquakes before and they just become stronger. The Minoan civilization, for example, went through a series of earthquakes, and that just taught their people to build better buildings. Their architecture became more sophisticated. They were more capable of building more resilient buildings. So in fact, that only made them stronger. But when they were highly unequal in society, And when they were excessively burdening Mother Nature, they were vulnerable. And when the earthquake hit, they fell. When copper and iron was discovered, they fell. When their population grew extensively or disease came, they fell. And I think that's really where we are right now in this era of the global village and its civilization. Looking at where we are currently through the handy lens makes us see that perhaps a collapse is not as far as we thought it is. Let's take a look at where inequality is right now on the planet. 80% of the world's population lives in countries where income differentials are widening. That means it's getting worse. We have 2.2 billion children on this planet. Beautiful gifts. But of those, 1 billion are living in poverty, going to bed at night hungry, waking up without a hope for a future. And for me, that is something that is quite significant. I mean, Oxfam International did some staggering research, and they just recently released stats that showed that we are moving towards a situation where 1% of the global population is going to own more than the rest of the 99% combined. I mean, is that the world you want to live in, where 1% of us owns more than all of us, the rest of us combined? I don't think so. If we look at this other leg of the handy model, which is ecological strain or excessive use of resources, we'll see that our current civilization is not far from that either. 25 to 45 million fish are killed every single day. 30 million birds are killed every single day at human hands. 20,000 land animals are killed per minute. Per minute. As I'm speaking now, we've lost 20,000 land animals, and it's happening every single day. This is very, very, very concerning. Not to mention that we're losing biodiversity at a rate 100 to 1,000 times its pre-human levels. We are losing our rainforests, which give us oxygen. We are polluting our water. We're polluting the air. There's some parts of the world that I'm sure you know of where people have to wear masks every day just to shield themselves from toxic air pollution. It's actually very scary. And it's not stopping. It's continuing. Every day a new factory is being built. Every day new land is being cleared for agricultural purposes. Every day, animals in jungles are losing their habitat and are at more and more of a threat of being extinct. We're definitely going there. We're going there. You can see that we're living in an epoch of paradox. I call it the epoch, the great epoch of paradox. But why? Why that? It's really because we're living at a times where what matters most actually matters least. There's an economic concept called the paradox of value. And the paradox of value basically demonstrates that if you take, for example, water, which is life, water gives life to everything. And then if you take a diamond, which is not life, but is scarce and is a symbol of affluence or having made it in life, we as a system or a society value the diamond more than we value water. How much will it cost you to buy a diamond? How much will it cost you to buy a bottle of water? You buy a bottle of water for a few rands, whereas a diamond you pay thousands of rands for. But come to think about it, which is the one that you need most to clean yourself, to keep yourself hydrated, to water the plants? What do we need most? And it's the water. And that demonstrates the paradox of value. And I believe we're living in that epoch where everything that we value the most, from the different kinds of services or jobs, get paid the least. the things that are of most value are the things we're discarding. And it's quite concerning. Up to now, development has been characterized as just progress, just moving forward. Technology, convenience, more capital. But what I think we can do is to transcend these dualities of development versus its trade-offs, which are poverty, inequality, which are loss of biodiversity, loss of animals, and loss of all the things that are beautiful and true. We can transcend these extremities and this duality, and that requires a different kind of development. And for me, it's nothing but transcendent development. And transcendent development is basically where we bring together transcend. In other words, we are going above and beyond a normal range of limits. We are exploring territory that is unexplored. We are transcending and we are developing. In other words, we're still moving forward. We're progressing. There's growth, So when we bring these two together, we arrive at transcendent development. In other words, a kind of development that does not provide welfare for just a portion of humanity at the expense of the rest, but actually it provides welfare for everyone in humanity in a sustainable fashion. In which we can all enjoy. A kind of development that does not compromise the basic right to human dignity. And I firmly believe that is possible in the 21st century. We can achieve it now.